I knew I was really tired, but I had been an athlete when I was younger, so I was used to being really tired. I'm like, that was nothing new. And I was putting in really long hours, but I didn't realize how bad my focus had gotten and how bad my emotional intelligence had dropped. And those are the two key areas. In fact, 100% of your mental abilities drop when you have burnout. And I was coming in the morning, I was just like, emergency, emergency, emergency. And to be fair, that was pretty typical of the industry I was in. But I got to the point where I was literally on the phone with one client and I picked up the phone and started calling another client. I forgot I was on the phone with the first one. But people laugh, but people with burnout do this all the time.
Hi, Kira. Thank you so much for coming to Life of Founder. How's it going?
It's great, Massimiliano. Thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I mean, it's beautiful. You are in Canada. I'm here today in Italy, and we are here talking about founders, the life of a founder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to talk to you because on one side you're a founder, on the other side you teach them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's both sides of the coin. But before we start, would you like to give an intro to yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kira Leskew. I am the founder and CEO Chief Program Officer of the Eagle Institute Ltd.
Thank you. So what is your institute about?
So we teach CEOs and founders of funded companies how to turn burnout or high stress around into higher performance through eliminating that stress response pretty quickly and then turning that into meditation where they can have skills that they need as a CEO and founder that are going to give them not only that extra edge, but compress the time that it really takes for them to scale.
Thank you. We go back there pretty soon. But before starting, what brings you to be an entrepreneur? Because it's not an easy life.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way.
Well, I mean, I always wanted to be in business. I had a business degree and, I've had several businesses so far, but the one that really was important to me, I was looking for things to do and someone who ended up being my co-founder came to me and said he had this great idea. And I knew he was amazing at sales and business development. And I actually had a background in doing a lot with manufacturing and like all the basically COO side. And I'm like, if we do this together, we can do something really amazing. Cause I knew he was like a top, 1 in 1,000 at what he did. And I knew I'd done things that very few people had done in terms of scaling and in manufacturing. And he didn't know about manufacturing. So I thought, oh, you know what, we can do something really incredible. But I've had several businesses over the years. That was just one of them. Yeah.
I mean, you've been already many times an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, having done so many things in your life. What keeps you doing? Again, being an entrepreneur is very different. It is, you see things, you approach things in a very different way. At the same time, there is not so much security. And because it is what it is. I mean, even if you are a well-established company, you still need to keep going any single day, especially today in this AI era where everything can change overnight. So where do you find the strength and the motivation to keep going?
Well, I think I already had a fair amount of motivation, but really doing the right kind of meditation practice, like there's never been a problem that if I didn't know the right practice that I couldn't out meditate. So when you have that kind of not only mental strength, but mental clarity, you know that you can solve problems. You know that there is an answer. You just need to get yourself to a place where you can be willing to see that answer. It could mean looking at something difficult within yourself that you need to face and change. It could be that you need to face something about other people that you don't want to face and change. It can be that, market and demands are changing. I mean, I had that in one of my businesses, like overnight, our biggest market, they were all getting laid off. It was, a B2C market for, a pretty high-end luxury product. So I went into meditation. I'm like, okay, I got two things that I needed to do to shift the business to solve this problem. And we ended up with our most profitable year ever in a down economy because they did that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
many
I believe
times,
if you put in the time to practice, you can find the answers. Yeah.
many times you find your best product when you pivot. Yeah, all
Yes.
those big companies, they found their market fit far away from what was supposed to be in the first place.
Yes.
Amazon, even Tesla itself, all of them, almost all
Yeah.
these unicorns, they change completely
Yeah.
model and they actually succeed. But I'm very lucky to have you with me today because you're an expert in burnout and turning what is very much challenging and a problem in a solution, maybe, and a strength. I
Yeah.
really would like to focus this session with you, this episode with you on burnout, because I've been
Sure.
talking without any exaggeration to probably 5, 6, 10,000 founders since I started doing venture capital in 2015. A burnout is very much something that is there, but especially first time founder, they don't know what it actually burnout is until
Yeah.
they get there. And when you get there, it's too late because burnout, there's no way you walk away. It's just too
Actually, there
much.
is. There
It's too
is.
much. Yeah, it's too much. So, shall we? I mean, how? First of all, you told me that you have been through burnout, so you know what that
Yes.
means.
Yes.
So, would you like to give us an explanation, which actually, how, what was? I mean, what was the feeling? uh, what was the cause and what has been the result to be burnout, and how do you
Yeah.
manage to go through it?
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm going to explain all that to you, but you don't have to suffer through burnout. And there are ways that you can overcome this, even if it's really bad, and run your business at the same time and get yourself back to a place where you can do the high hours without the burnout. And that is what I had learned to do. Now, how did I recognize? I actually didn't. I knew things. I knew I was really tired, but I had been an athlete when I was younger, so I was used to being really tired. I'm like, that was nothing new. Uh, and I was putting in really long hours, but I didn't realize how bad my focus had gotten. And I didn't realize how bad my emotional intelligence had dropped. And those are the two key areas. In fact, 100% of your mental abilities drop when you have burnout. So things that should take you 5 hours are taking you 15, 18, 20 hours. And I was coming in the morning. I was just like, emergency, emergency, emergency. And to be fair, that was pretty typical of the industry I was in. But I got to the point where I was literally on the phone with one client and I picked up the phone and started calling another client. I forgot I was on the phone with the first one. But people laugh, but people with burnout do this all the time. It might not be a phone call and a phone call, but they can't stay on track with what they're doing. The other big thing is like you're not sleeping at night. So you're waking up in the middle of the night, the mind's racing, you're not getting the rest you need. That definitely happened to me. And for me, I almost got a little bit more serious. I was, almost fell asleep when I was driving. And so that's, that and a client saying, if you don't do something, we're pulling the business was what really kind of woke me up that I had to do something about this. So, and it was normal. It was normal in the industry I was in. I would say everyone was on their way to burnout, and quite a few people were already burnt out. And a lot of people were very sick because of that. Yeah.
I mean, anyway, it must be difficult. I mean, regardless if you're working for someone else, if you're an employee, or if you are, you're running your business, working in this condition, it's almost impossible.
Yeah. It really is. And at that time I was a co-owner. So I was at the top level, but because of the industry standard, was that you just, tough up, buttercup, get it done. And you don't kind of admit to these kind of things. And everybody else around you looks the same way. How do you know what's going on? You're mentally compromised. So yeah, it was very hard. But I think the most important thing we have to recognize, like, the turnaround that I had in the business and how fast I could get things done when I turned burnout around to healthy, like it's incredible. I'm like, my business grew like 50% the next year in manufacturing. The only thing that changed was me not being burnt out. The only thing.
How did you overcome?
Well, you have to do a few things. First of all, you have to stop the stress response. And if you've reached burnout, you got to get enough sleep. You have to manage your schedule so you're getting enough sleep. You need to do practices that reduce the stress response so that those stress hormones aren't firing, because that's what's tiring you out, because it's like stress, and your body can't handle it and it doesn't have any time to recover. So mentally and emotionally, it goes down, because our bodies are designed that if we're stressed, it gets more and more focused. It cuts out everything other than essential to stay alive. Yeah. So we're taking our mental and emotional capacity and it's like way down. So you have to stop that from happening and turn that around. That actually doesn't take very long to do. If you do the right practices, it takes, you have to do it over a period of time, but it takes no more than 15 minutes per day. And then once you do that, once you've had burnout, 100%, you cannot recover your focus without a bit of help. It takes 7 years for focus to return. Yeah. But so that's why you need specific techniques through meditation. And also emotional intelligence will recover to some degree, but it doesn't recover 100% to pre-burnout levels without some help. So that's where when we teach people to turn it around, we teach them the practices that are going to get their focus back up to maybe even levels they've never experienced before in a way that's sustainable. So they're not getting tired from doing it, plus get that emotional intelligence back up as well. And if you do all three of those things, you can get, other than the focus and emotional intelligence, you can go from burnout to being in the healthy range. I regularly do it like 10, 12 weeks for people, and they can keep running their business.
Today, you run your own business. Yep. How do you make sure that you don't get there again?
Well, I practice. I do the practices I teach, but also I meditate, because it gives me an advantage for insight, for problems, and, keep the emotional intelligence up, and, allows me to focus for those longer periods of time that I need to as a founder. Yeah.
But let's talk about the world of startups, and where overworking is the rule. There is not, we can talk about the life balance as you want, but when you start up, you get some funding from a venture capital fund, forget your life balance. Your life is your startup, right? So for what I've been talking to all those founders, when actually they start feeling the pressure and they don't sleep at night, and if they are not burned out yet, they will go there. And because when you don't sleep at night, I've been without sleeping for 6 months, without sleeping at all. I was getting sick. And I went to the doctor. The doctor told me, you need to take some pills. I said, I don't want pills. No. I say, you need to understand one thing. There is nothing worse than do not sleeping.
Yeah.
So take the pills. He gave me a very, very strong drops. I took 10 of them. I slept for 12 hours. I took for 6 months. I get back to him. It's like, okay, now I'm okay. I'm leaving them because they are too strong. But he made me recovering so much. Now, when I talk to these guys, what they tell me is the pressure of getting the morning from someone else. I had to deliver what I promised. This is what make me don't sleeping at night and be very stressed. How someone who get funded, get money from outside is totally different when you run your business with your own and when you get funding from outside. how actually they can manage it.
Well, the first business I started below zero. I started with a business that was almost out of business. So I understand this and I've lived it. So the thing is, you have to learn how to control your brain, your nervous system, because the stress happens because of the brain and the nervous system. So when you learn to control that, that stops the stress response and that leads you to the answers you need, and you can get better quality sleep. And I agree with you. It's not about work-life balance at all. It's about high performance and sustaining where you need to be as a high performer.
Correct.
And doing the things that you need to do to be a high performer. And in the time we're in, things are moving so quickly. Technology is so stimulating. We have to have a way that we can teach our brains and nervous systems, this is how you behave when you're getting really stimulated, so it doesn't take you to burnout. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do that. But when you do that, you can do all those things and still get better quality sleep at night and still have that higher performance through all the things you're doing. But if you don't do that, then that's when it gets harder and harder and harder, and then you can't sleep. And those symptoms you were just talking about, by the way, those are all burnout symptoms. Not being able to sleep at night, not being able to shut the mind off, and worrying. Where our mind gets negative, getting depressed, that's a symptom of burnout too. All of those are.
Well, I remember when my first EquityMatch is my sixth startup.
Yeah.
And I did 5 before. And I remember I was working 15, 16 hours per day, probably. Couple hours of workout in the gym and trying to sleep, which was almost impossible. But what I noticed to me, and I changed completely, is opening your eyes and taking your phone. Opening your phone before going to sleep. Over worrying, that doesn't help you at all. So I removed all of them because I just said to me, before, when I wake up in the morning, I don't touch my phone today before 9 o'clock. I don't.
Yeah, that's good.
I leave my phone at 10 o'clock in the evening and I won't touch my phone at all, zero, until 9 o'clock in the morning. And what I told me, say, what's the point to be worried? I mean, that's helping me at all. If I'm spending an entire night worrying, the only things I get is the morning after, I'm not capable even to wake up and do anything. So I remove all of this. It won't be easy. I mean, it's been very tough actually, but I perform much better now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the technology, like our brains aren't built to handle the amount of technology unless you train it. And even then, you still need rest. You still need a gap from that. Even the best athletes in the world, they don't train 100% of the time because you can't have that super high performance. Like even the marathon runners, they still have to have rest, right?
Of course.
So you have to have some of that. But then you just need to put yourself in a state where you can have that super high performance when you're doing all the many things that you need to do to succeed as a funded founder. Yeah.
I mean, it takes time to understand. And when you start, what you want to do is doing everything immediately. That's what normally your brain is telling you. But after you understand that things work in a very different way, and there are some rules in our body that you simply cannot change. You need only to follow.
Exactly.
But today, you are running your own institute and working with CEOs, startup founders. In your daily routine, right, as an entrepreneur, what do you like to do the most?
What do I like to do the most?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I like, to be honest, I really like the variety of being a founder and a CEO. Like I love to think strategically. So I like to think about, how are the pieces connecting? I like to look at, what do I see as emerging trends and emerging needs, and taking my experience as, as a meditation master and say, okay, how can we connect this to what we're seeing as emerging problems? And then figuring out how to scale that. I love figuring out scaling. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah.
But I was reading. For example, when I wake up in the morning, I say, today I do this in this time frame, this in this time frame. I'm very methodic. Uh, Sometimes you can't finish everything in your time frame, so you go the day after, unless you use some priorities. But do you have some kind of routine?
I do. Because like I work with people, one-on-one. I'm still teaching our most of our clients. So I arrange my schedule. So usually I do my own practice so that I'm in a state where I can help my clients. And then I do client work. And then I work sales business development. And then after that, I work on improving like the processes. So I do some of each of that almost every day. I mean, occasionally, things change. You have opportunities that change, but I do some of each of that every single day. Yeah.
But you have a co-founder, yeah?
No,
So it's your own.
this business is just me. Yeah. In the past, I've had co-founders.
What's the difference? Because there are some entrepreneurs who like to be solo founder. Others, they need someone else. So
Yeah.
in your case, where do you find yourself better? Is solo or with others?
Hmm. Honestly, I think it depends on the business. Like what I'm doing now, I think it'd be very difficult to have a co-founder. I really like having it on my own better. Um, I think with a co-founder, like it's having a marriage that you're not in love with each other,
Oh
probably.
yeah, yeah, of course,
It's about money.
of
It's a
course.
marriage about money. And so that can be like keeping strategically aligned, keeping, business values, personal values aligned as you go through all these stages of growth. I mean, if you can make that work, I think it's great. But a lot of businesses, at some point it becomes the issue. So, yeah,
I mean,
I like being a solo founder better. I like being able to do the whole thing and seeing the vision come to life myself. Yeah.
this is the chicken and the egg, because some investors, they prefer to invest in co-founders, for example, because it's not just one. But at the same time, co-founder can fight. I invested in a startup where we had to close the company because they've been fighting each other
Yeah.
like hell. Let's say, we can't keep going this way. I'm not coming to be the CEO of this company. There is no way. So we close it.
Yeah.
You had this problem as one can leave easily, and you go back to one co-founder. So sometimes I believe it's better to invest in one person. At least you're sure than investing in three, four, and they just
Yeah.
split.
No, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
What's your relationship with failure? Entrepreneurs has can f- I mean can f- it can happen, right? You can face failure.
Even the best and the best of the best in the world don't succeed 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes the things that are the most transformative or the things that have really big value, sometimes you need to iterate. So, I just always believe that and this is something you can do when you're not stressed is you can see that there's possibilities and there's got to be a way. So I just if it's that one didn't work or didn't go, what do I need to learn from it? And what is going to work? Let's keep going and figure out what's going to work.
It does. You can always find opportunity. But this brings me to pivoting. You did pivot in your previous companies. How difficult it has been for you, or is for founders, to understand when a pivot is needed? Otherwise, you maybe you close.
Yeah, well, I think that's another thing that meditation really helps with is because um I've had to pivot every single business multiple times, multiple times. So it's about first of all, you need to take your ego in check and say just because it was successful before doesn't mean it's going to be continue to be successful, right? And we can get really attached. Like there's some things that I've had to change in some of my businesses. I was like, oh man, I love that so much. Why do we have to change?
I know, that's the
but
point.
but it things evolve. Like the economy evolves, people's demands evolve. So even how we do things evolve. So, being willing to do that. And I have never yet found that I couldn't find the evolution. Sometimes it looked very different than what we were doing before.
How do you, for example, today with AI, seriously, everything can become obsolete the day after, if not the day after, week after. How do you keep yourself, I mean, not updated? How do you keep yourself on track with all this changing all the time on a daily basis?
Well, I think, you have to do the learning curve, but I also think that that's where having a real clear, stress-free mind is extremely important, because our minds can't handle the amount of information that you can have with AI.
No.
You can't. You
Of course
can't
not.
do it all. If you try to do it all, you're gonna fail. Like you'll be like this good at like 500 things and still missing 5,000.
Of course.
And you won't be good at anything. So I think you need to have the awareness and the discernment, or what are the things that really matter, and how can I go a little bit deeper into that? And, again, be willing to change and evolve. But with AI, like if humans are going to stay in charge, we need to be mentally capable of doing that. So we need to be able to work with the technology. We need to be able to have the discernment what to use and when. And we need to not be lazy. This is a big risk with AI, and we're seeing it with our younger generation faster because their brains are still developing. What's happening in older adults as well is that we need to embrace the technology and still keep our mental capabilities. And this is outside of meditation. Like we need to have the discernment. We need to have the focus. We need to have, is it giving me the right answer? We need to still be able to question things and know when we can trust it and go at speed. So I think, yeah.
I mean, this is absolutely right, but that's the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been reading since AI came fully to life, because AI has been there for decades. But since, let's say, ChatGPT came 2 years ago, if I'm right, with very massive adoption. So for example, the pitch deck I'm reading now, they are all the same. It's absolutely clear that it's written by AI, because it's totally completely the same. I get bored. I mean, I start not even reading anymore. I receive email when people they even forget to remove the last line when the ChatGPT or Gemini, whoever it is, say did I do something more for you? Even that one is copy and paste. So as you said, if you rely 100% on AI, your brain will become smaller and smaller and smaller, because you are not using your brain anymore except for copy and paste. So at the same time, it's very difficult for a human being to take advantage, especially from the young generations, of the AI, but it comes with a very massive damage.
Right.
Because it is.
And that's in my opinion, the CEOs that are really going to make it in the future, the C-suite teams that are leading in the future, are going to be able to manage that balance. They're going to be able to do the thinking. They're going to be able to do the discernment. They're going to be able to look at things and say, this part is right and this part is wrong. And, I have way back in the day, I have a degree in accounting and tax, and I was looking something up on AI, and I'm like, it was a complex issue. I'm like, this is out of date. Like the information it was giving me was wrong. But so you just can't trust everything 100%. Like you need to have the discernment. Should I use it or should I not use it? First of all. So yes, you can speed yourself up, but if you're going to be a CEO or C-suite that's really leading in the future, you need to be the one that's got your own ideas, and you need to be able to think through that. and then use the technology to leverage that and speed it up. But you still have to have that check, that human check, right? And you need to be capable of doing it.
This is what will make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Exactly what will make a difference. But what do you see today, the health of the tech ecosystem? Which means, are we doing enough in terms of improving the life of the people? Because in the end of the day, this is what we claim any single day. Or maybe the opposite.
I think we need to have a lot of discernment around what we're doing. And it's happening some places in the world. We need to have a lot more discernment. I think technology is amazing. I think it would be really good if we could have more of it and have it increase, as long as we can stay in check and stay in charge. And I think that we're at a point where we're at risk for that, because I know people that will like just put anything into AI, and like you said, they just copy paste. They don't think about what they're doing. So I think the value of human input and the humanness, I think we're going to start to see a resurgence in that. But I also think we need to, with the technology, make sure that we're putting things in place, not just because we can, but because it's actually truly adding value. And that there is like not just a value proposition business wise, but there's a value proposition human wise for that.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see where we go. Where do you see yourself? I mean, your business in 3-5 years' time?
Well, I see the more technology we need, the more we're going to need to have to be in control of our minds and brains, and the more need that there's going to be to be able to do things a lot faster and still keep the human brain in charge, and develop more abilities with our minds than leaders maybe are even currently aware of. So I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to be a lot of demand for it going forward. Yeah.
I mean, your daily talk is with entrepreneurs, CEO. I mean, be an entrepreneur, be a founder, we all face the same problems, right? So when you talk to them, which are the most common problems they face when they come to you?
Yeah, I think the biggest problems are like things are taking too long. That they're getting too tired to keep doing it. But I think there's also the one that I've had a lot of founders come to me for, is that they can't think through the challenges, and they need a clearer mind to be able to think through the challenges and the opportunities, to see the opportunities. Like, because you start out, you're so excited, you've got all these great ideas, and then you get into it and there's so much going on. And then they reach a point where they get stuck. Even if it's not burnt out, they still get stuck. They're like, it just becomes like they're so caught up in the routine and the doing. So they're more on executing side and not as much on strategy and forward thinking. So that when they come to me, they usually have, I've been struggling with this thing for a really long time. I need a breakthrough. So I need to think differently in order to be able to do that. Yeah.
I mean, it's true that when you go through so much execution, thinking strategically is not that simple.
Yeah.
Because we are immersed in doing especially when you start up. I mean, you do everything completely. You start from maybe the tech to the sales, and including thinking in a strategic way is not that simple. Again, you don't have, the brain is limited somehow, so you can't do everything for too long. That's the problem.
And you need to carve the time to do that and be able to mentally do it too. So just because you have the time doesn't mean that mentally you can still do it. Like you have to have both.
I mean, indeed, absolutely, indeed.
Yeah.
But I mean, in all your time involved in entrepreneurship, what's the best lesson you got so far? Really changed you. I mean, it really posed you and thinking and changing because it was the right time.
Yeah. I think the biggest lesson for me, like I came from a sort of a more, math and logical background. and learning the emotional intelligence side and just how important it was. And to be able to do it, I think was the biggest lesson for me. And to develop myself so that I could be that leader that had those emotional intelligence skills, because it's the biggest predictor of leadership success. And, that was something I had to learn. I had to put a lot of effort into that.
Now, do you think being an entrepreneur is making you better?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think it allows you to see your strengths and to explore your strengths. But there's also certain things that are kind of non-negotiables that you have to develop within yourself. Like the business is only going to grow as big as you.
Yeah, exactly.
And the choices at that point is you go or you grow to make yourself the CEO or C-suite or founder, whatever you need to be to continue that growth.
Having doubts is normal for any human being.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought, I'm not good enough?
Oh, well, I've always thought that what I am right now isn't what's needed. But if I was burnt out, that would probably be the end of it. And when I was burnt out, that was like, oh my God, there's no way I can ever do this. But honestly, that's just stress and burnout talking. But when you get yourself into a healthy state, and, I've done this with even a lot of people that are, on that path, CEOs and founders, like, do you believe that there is an answer? And they're like, probably, yeah. Okay, well, do you want to be able to get to a state where you can find the answer?
I mean, let me go back to stress. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's normal to everybody. Sometimes when I'm very much stressed, it can happen. Absolutely can happen to everybody. There are very simple things that you can't work out. And before, I was actually be there for an entire night until it was done. It was not done because my mind was completely diminished, finished. Now I sleep over. The day after, I wake up and it's already done because maybe my brain processed during the night. Do you think CEO, founder, they should? You already told me a bit before. They should actually having a frame how to handle this life, which is not a simple life.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story here. This is something that happened to me. So it was actually happened when I first started this business. I was got to do a 4-hour presentation for a very experienced group of CEOs, and some of them were founders. They weren't necessarily CEOs. And it was 4:30 the day before, and I got a phone call. Someone was really upset about something when they saw about the presentation. And I was supposed to start at 8:30 the next morning, 4 hours. And they said, we need to change the whole thing.
Oh, no.
Whole thing. And my first thought was to argue. And I'm like, no, these people understand what's happening. So I calmed myself down because I could already do that. And then I'm like, okay, this is probably going to take me all night to do this. So the first thing I need to do is put myself in a mental state to do it. So I meditated for about 45 minutes. And then at the end, I was about to say, okay, I don't have any answers, but at least I feel. And then all of a sudden, I remembered I did this exact presentation before I started this business for something else that was exactly what they were asking for. And I even remembered where it was. It was on an old laptop. It took me 15 minutes to find that presentation, change the names on it, find my old notes. And then by now it was not even 6 o'clock. I had dinner and went to bed early and aced the presentation the next morning. So I could have stayed up all night struggling and coming up with something was substandard. But instead, when I took the time to put myself in the place where I could solve the problem, the answer came and it was a really good one.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the answer. Yeah.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
Let me close with a suggestion. Right? I like to ask to you, as I normally do, what kind of suggestion, recommendation you can give to all founders or whoever watching. Anyway, we talk about founders, investors, entrepreneurs. Those are the people watching a podcast. what you can recommend to them as a founder to founder? Let's put it this way.
Founder to founder. I think the biggest thing I recommend to them is, like, especially if you're a newer founder, like, your ideas are amazing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a founder. But there does come a point where you need to grow past where you think your strengths are. And your strength isn't always your strength, or the idea that you have that is amazing at one point may have to grow and evolve, or it may need to change entirely. So put yourself in a position where you can handle that transition. I know I had to do it a lot of times. Early on, I would hold on to things way too long. And, it hurt the business, it slowed growth, it hurt profits, it damaged relationships. And then I learned to get over that. And it helped so tremendously much. So I would say if you can learn that earlier on, it helped me so much. And I think almost every other founder that I've seen that's really done the big growth, like, they've had to evolve themselves as a person and as a leader. Yeah.
Kira, thank you so much for coming to Life of Founder. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It is great to talk to you today, Massimiliano, and thank you so much for having me.
Thanks to you. Thank you.